1,000 users per area?
So what this is if you had a GSM 900 cell, then yeah, you actually, no. Who here has taken mobile communications?
Next semester.
Okay. Here's how it works, is that this entire bandwidth is not allocated to a cell, because if you had an adjacent cell, like this, if this guy and this guy were both using the same bandwidth, then if you had two cells, if you had two mobiles beside each other on the boundary, they could interfere with each other. So what you in fact do is you break up the bandwidth like this. So you surround a cell with other cells that use a different frequency band. So in this grouping, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this entire bandwidth would be shared over 7 cells. And you would only reuse this frequency again, like over here. So this could be the same frequency as that. So that avoids this problem. These are now far enough away that they won't interfere with each other. So in other words, if you, this parameter of how many cells share the same bandwidth, you could choose that. But it's usually chosen so that they do what's called tessellating. So in other words, you can basically take this reuse pattern and drop it in various places so that it completely covers the plane. And there are only certain numbers that do that. One is 4, one is 7, one is 13. So in other words, if you use 7, which is quite common, like this, it's basically sort of this sunflower shape. Each cell would be able to use 1/7 of this bandwidth, so basically 1,000 divided by 7, or 140 calls. Now this is also GSM 900, which has much lower bandwidth than, there's another one that's further up in the frequency band called GSM 1800, and that is wider bandwidth, so that can handle more calls. Okay. So I just thought I'd give you a quick practical example of how these are used. Any questions on this? Yeah.
You said the other cell phone companies are switching to the standard. What happens with the 1,000 limit if they're all using this, doing the same up and down
Good question.
in the city of like 30 million?
Yeah, I actually don't know. So clearly, so I think that, I'm actually not sure, to be 100% honest with you, but I would expect that Bell and TELUS have their own, they have spectrum licenses, so they can probably use the spectrum that they've been licensed however they like. And I don't think they overlap with each other, those spectrum licenses. So for instance, perhaps there's 3 flavors of GSM, 900, actually there are a lot of flavors, but the most common are 900, 1800, and 1900. So it's possible that Rogers or Bell don't own the same bandwidth, like one might own 1800, the other one might own 1900. By the way, this is also what you get when you get a 3 bands, like a tri-band cell phone or something. I don't even know if they call them that anymore, or if they all just come like that. But tri-band is like GSM 900, 1800, and 1900. Okay. Oh, but also, okay, again, this is something that you will cover if you take mobile communications next term, but I didn't write, on this diagram, I didn't write any dimensions. So, for instance, if my cell phone user density is, or if in here I have a very high density number of users, basically I can take this entire arrangement and shrink it down and cover just that area with like a bunch of picocells. So basically I can take regions in here and re-break them down with tiny cells, and as long as I manage my power correctly, I can avoid interfering with everything surrounding. So in other words, it's not density that's the issue, it's the number of cell towers you have. So you can take this arrangement and shrink it to as small as you need in order to cover the user density.
If you move from one area to another, does it switch frequency automatically?
Yeah, that's called handoff. So that's fairly well understood. Anyway, I don't really want to get into this because this is not what we're talking about in this course. But any questions on this? Okay.